Our second and last text of realism is the play Hedda Gabler by the extremely influential Henrik Ibsen. Now, Ibsen was considered the foremost playwright of his time. He widened the scope of world literature beyond the confines of the great modern nation, since he represents little old Norway. He made highly innovative drama that anticipates many major philosophical and cultural developments of the 20th century. In that sense, kind of like Charles Baudelaire, but certainly not in terms of subject matter. He was a modernist before modernism, an arguable forerunner of psychoanalysis as well, before Freud was even writing the stuff. Sigmund Freud, that is. He's very hard to pin down and label, very complicated and even contradictory with his characteristics and concerns. He fits realism pretty much just chronologically and in terms of style. But there's elements of the revolutionary, the nationalistic, the romantic, the idealistic, the realistic, the socialist, naturalist, symbolist, feminist, and, well, that's just the beginning. Now, some of his dramatic characteristics and his anticipations of modernism include a preoccupation with and a concern with the individual's feelings of alienation and actual alienation from society. The pressures by which society ensures conformity and suppresses individuality. The question of freedom and the contradictions between ability and desire and will and circumstance. Is the individual ever truly free, is the uneasy question. The mingled tragedy and comedy of humanity and the individual. Tragicomedy. The barriers that modern life sets up against living heroically. It makes it impossible. The individual's internalizing of society's values. Often the very things that limit them, of course, they just internalize as, well, all that they know. And how inner pressures and conflicts inhibit and even destroy the individual in terms of their potential. Now, according to John Northam, who is a scholar on Ibsen, Ibsen portrays the opposing selves within the play, the two sides of every person, every individual, the social self and the essential self. The social self being the persona assumed to conform to the demands of family, friends, community, and society, developed for acceptance and/or protection. It's the mask you put on, the front you put up to be accepted. But then, of course, there's the real you, the private you, the essential self, the true self expressed in the individual's thoughts, feelings, desires, needs, etc. That tends to be the fruit of the being all up in the character's head that I described before as a feature of realism. That very deep, sustained psychological focus on what the character is actually thinking. And Ibsen's experimentation led to necessary innovations on the part of actors and directors. His sentence fragments, exclamations, and short statements could not be properly communicated by the declamatory style of acting in vogue during Ibsen's day. So it was kind of a forerunner of what we know today as method acting. In other words, getting away from the melodrama, less hammy overall. It calls for, again, more realistic and more nuanced and subtle stage directions. Directors had to compensate for subtler depictions of human emotion with newer, more three-dimensional ways of staging and more intricate stage directions, because that's what the very particular and nuanced directions of Ibsen demanded. Okay, good luck on your discussion questions, and again, I will highlight the main collective points of realism through an announcement.